Hey, you. It's Speaker Corner, and it's a Sunday afternoon. It's quite subdued at the moment. It's still fairly early. Let's see what. Oh my lord! Do you know what? Last week I was here a whole week ago, and I wrote this on the floor, and it's still here a week later. Belief in gravity is a religion. I can't. Adam and Eve. Do you know how many hundreds of people must have walked? Thousands of people must have run past here. Anyway, I'm not sure what to expect today. I'm very interested to see how where this is all leading us. Hey, how you going? You alright? Cool, how are you, brother?
Slightly freezing. I was hoping it was going to be a bit more.
Yeah, so was I.
It said that it's going to break up. What time is it now?
It's about 1 o'clock, I think.
How you doing, Papa? You alright?
Yeah, I'm cool, man. How are you?
Good seeing you.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. How are you going? Yeah.
I believe the clouds are going to break up around 2-3.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully it'll be.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna maybe go for a quick lap.
No, not allowed. I sweat too easily. I'll probably go for like a quick 12 or something.
Yeah.
But are you here doing anything today?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow, see how it all pans out.
See how it is.
Yeah. See what the vibe is like, see what the energy is like. Last week was a bit weird for me, so I'm just gonna take it easy. See what happens.
It's a mellow day today.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing as well.
I think it's where the moon's at today. We're all the moon's not far away from us today. That's how I see it anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna just kind of do. I wrote something on the floor last week about gravity being a religion. It's still, you can still see it. I can't believe a whole week in rain and what have you, 1 million people. And,
Nice.
that's really, so I'm not just gonna re-itch it today. Because, you know what? I've been talking to my wife a bit about how to help get people the message across that, you know, the system is corrupt. You know, the whole system is corrupt. While you're fighting each other over religion or other doctrines, then you know we're never going to kind of get to a point where we can see past that fight and see into ourselves and see what we are. You know. Well, as we continue to identify ourselves by something that's external, then we'll never
But this is the truth. A lot of people have divorced themselves from being or lost that belief in humanity.
Yeah.
And now they're going into external, like you said, external tribes to make themselves feel better. So now there's such an investment in all kinds of tribes. And when people go against your tribe, obviously it's a big problem. Almost like a business similar to that. And like you said, a lot of people have gone away from what's inside. If they were more invested in humanity as opposed to anything else.
That's the first place, or first prize. But then the thing is that we start, once we're in a tribe, then we start wanting other people to be in our tribe. So just like I've come here and tried to bang the Flat Earth tribe, I've realized that actually, if all I am is the Flat Earth tribe, then I'm separating myself from my brothers in all the other tribes. You know what I'm saying? So I've got to find a way of going, well, okay, I know the board is flat. I'm not going to argue over that. If you want to, you know, have a different view on me, that's fine. But I want you to know something deeper about yourself. Let's not squabble over color or what country I come from or my parents' religion or whatever, you know. Let's not fight over those things because that's where the energy is at here. I'm trying to find a different one.
That's why I think humanity is a good thing, because everyone's human. You can't run from being human. You can't alienate anyone from being human. So that's why I think humanity.
But the thing is that even my dad will tell you that humans are naturally warlike in their thinking, right? Well, that's only because we've been taught that we are warlike. And perhaps even that we've been taught that we are from the animals. You see, so we've evolved from animals that would have fought each other and climbed over each other. So we kind of got that mindset. That's part of our DNA. That's built into us. Well, I say no, and that's not part of our DNA. And whilst you identify with, I have to identify with this, and me as a white man or a black man or a Muslim, I have to take on the good, the bad, and the ugly about all the whatever a white man has done in the past, or be angry because what a black man happened to a black man in the past, or a Muslim man or Christian, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm just carrying all of that stuff around rather than being living in the moment, a human, truly living in the moment. So that's where I'm at, and I'm just trying to find a way to recalibrate the message that I bring to people so as to kind of still reach people's hearts, because the moment I get your back up and you go, no, fuck you, you're calling my color out, you're calling my religion out, you're calling my this out, you're calling my country out, my football team, it doesn't matter, what you say about Arsenal, you know what I mean? I don't want to hear you say bad stuff about Arsenal, right? The moment I got your back up, you're not going to hear me anymore. We're not going to realize we're on the same team still, or we're still one humanity.
I think that's really profound what you just said.
I hope I got that on camera.
No, that's seriously, I was just want to say, that's really profound. A lot of people come to this path, they take a label, and that's the label for life. You've just shown a whole ton of humility in the sense that you were the flat earth guy, but you realise by just being the flat earth guy, you've alienated a lot of people, and that's not what you want.
Sure. I want to share the love.
Exactly. Within doing it, flat earth, you want people to recognise that there's a little bit more out there, whether or not, let's say flat earth doesn't
pan out,
or round earth doesn't pan out. At the end of the day, you've awoken that spiritual kind of like a light in people to kind of find their own light and search their own light. And that's really profound, because you don't get a lot of people that do that.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Keep up.
I will do.
On that path.
Have you heard of the Illuminati card game? Have you come across the Illuminati? There's an Illuminati card game that was designed in 1997, and if you look at the cards, it tells you a lot of things that have happened in the world. Twin Towers predicted the Twin Towers and so on. And it also says a low value card called the Flat Earth card, and it says the Flat Earthers know something, but they don't know everything. So something. Oh, that's okay. Is that I belong to. I'm one of those people who a few years ago came across this information that we can't measure curvature on Earth. We can't show the Earth. Well, yeah, in a sense, and that's what I've come here for a few months and said, hey, that's what I'd say. That the Earth is flat. You need to look into that, which is true. You kind of need to look into that, I think. But there's something more. Which is what I found is that we are actually the divine creator, or we are the divine spark of the creator, having this awesome, mentally having this awesome experience. But that's been robbed because we've been caught up in the plus or the minus, the yin or the yang, the Coke or the Pepsi, the Arsenal or the Chelsea, you see, or the black or the white.
I was just about to say, I was going to make a video a little while ago. I used to watch Freeman Fly, Free Domain Radio. No, not Free Domain, that's completely different. Freeman Radio, Freeman Fly. And he used to talk about the shamans of the Native American. And they used to say how what they considered magic back then was just knowledge, basically. The ability to kind of like, almost, when we even say spell or word, right? You put letters in a sequence to translate information to someone, and it changes the perception. Almost like you're putting them under a spell.
Sorry.
Right? And
thank you.
Well, it like completely changed my mind, just in the sense that we've been conditioned to think that Harry Potter is what magic is. The whole shooting wands and whatever, and this whole dramatic ability, not necessarily just what we are able to do with our words, our minds, and changing people's opinions, conditions, or whatever. Like falling in love with someone, it's almost like you're under a spell. Being infuriated with someone, it's like you're under a spell. And it's about being a shaman, it's about finding that good light within yourself to kind of like, I guess if you're holding a light, like light your own path. But the problem is when you have tribes, you have people who are light bearers, but they want the power of being the light bearers. So you tell everyone, no, my light is the only light that you need. Gathers people
wisdom.
And that's how they get the power. But they shrink anyone else who tries to get that light for themselves because they become self-dependent. Right? And this is the difference between dark shamans and good shamans. Good shamans will inspire that light that you're talking about, that light to want to know more, want to see themselves, be a bit more spiritual. But dark shamans are people who rely on people's ignorance in order to power their own light, and guide them into, I guess, wherever they're going.
Or just to follow them, to give them, because you end up starting to feel like your power is coming from those followers that you have rather than from within, because I think you start to externalize that rather than, and this is what I realized when I came here in June. I came here in a really heart-centered place, but over the coming months, then it started to pull me out, pull me out. And now I'm trying to step back into that kind of role where I don't need to tell people what to do, but I can say, listen, this is what my experience is. If that resonates with you, come along. But you don't have to believe what I believe, and it doesn't have to be about my thing. But certainly not, as you're absolutely right about tribes, it resonates.
No, absolutely. If you've got your own light, holding your own light, then you're comfortable on the path you're following.
Yeah.
Because that's your light that you're in.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I think it's disingenuous to say to everyone, I've got the light for you. Everyone
Yes.
around you, and then
Yeah.
you lead them to
Yes.
oblivion.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they will still die, and
Yes.
you will not be held accountable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're still leading them to oblivion. So
And-
my thing is to give people their own internal light so that they can then explore themselves.
Perfect.
Because
That's exactly
I don't know where
right.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm here. I can't substantiate it. For me to think that I'm the only one with the light is completely out. It's ridiculous. But
And you should want to share that light. You should want to infuse others with the kind of energy to seek the truth for themselves, because like no priest, no imam, no scientist can stand over you and tell you this is the answers to the universe. You have to find those answers for yourself. You might read their books and you might take a little bit of information from them. Yeah, but if you're not finding it for yourself, then you're going to end up.
The saying, famous saying is give a man a fish.
that's it.
You feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish.
Thank you.
You feed him for life.
Perfect.
And that's what religion is. Like most of the people
Yeah.
like, they're given tools. Not a lot of them know how to use it. And they're not going and doing that extra.
Thanks.
There was a guy earlier, he told me I was reading a lot. And you got inspired by that. And you're like, you found the answer. I part of you wanted that reading and try. That's what
Awesome.
And you have to put it down because you're just like, my mind is not there, my heart is not there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why am I even, I'm just regurgitating the words. It's not flowing in, it's not going in. And this is one of the biggest foundational problems with people who are religious. They don't understand that people need to be in that moment to be able to incorporate all of the information through the heart and through the mind. And again, this comes back to what we were talking about. I am the light, follow my light, and then that's it. And I'm saying the fisher, teach a man to fish, he feeds the life. But if I'm running a business, I don't want to teach him how to feed himself.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
where's your profit?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
He can get
Yeah,
fish for himself. He doesn't
yeah,
need me.
yes. And where's my fear? You need that bit of fear to keep people under control. Oh, there's the police just keeping the fear. I'm sure they're doing a good job here, but yeah, I totally take that on. And I think the people that arrange all the religions and organize things and so on, they know the human psychology so very well that they've been able to put a package of information together that it doesn't matter whether you choose science or whether you choose a religion of these sorts. They've got answers for you to sit in. It's incredible. For me, it's been mind-blowing to see how people are so absorbed in their belief system, and that's been given to them by someone else rather than that inner knowing that I'm trying to, and you're absolutely in touch with.
I think what you were saying is just what you were saying. It's so funny that the arrogance that you see is so. It's almost mirrored. It's identical, whether you're religious, scientific, or someone who's overly proud. This arrogance to want to enforce.
Yeah.
It's also
Yeah.
mirrored. It's also replicable. That you have to realize this is just too consistent for it to be like big. So no, you're absolutely right. But
Awesome.
finding the light.
Awesome. It's all about the light. Well, there's about 30 people watching my live stream right now. Why don't you tell them your name? So
Hey everyone. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good Sunday.
yeah, super. Thanks for joining the stream. Hello, darling. Hello, sweetheart. I can get it up. I love freedom. I want freedom. Why? Oh, I'm trying to share my message of love. I'm trying to share a message of love.
No, you are using Araman to share. Araman is Lord
Let me
of
turn it
Death.
around.
Don't ferry, don't ferry.
Araman takes away the love.
Let me turn it around.
Let's
Let
go,
me-
lady.
Araman
Oh,
is
okay,
dead.
that's interesting. I haven't come
Araman
across.
is the end. This is Araman.
لا تصورها.
No,
Hello.
look, you think you are love, you're not.
No,
You're
I
not.
want to
You are
share
very
some.
disgruntled. Look, you've got orange laces.
Darling, here's
Oh,
the
what
tourist.
is- intellectually
Second picture of
want to
London, Hyde Park. Let him enjoy it.
Thank you.
No,
Okay?
this is
a
our
freedom.
place.
This is his freedom.
No, no.
He pays lots of money
Nothing
to come
do
to.
with-
No.
Please stop that. I've never been on
No,
internet.
I don't like it.
You have now. This is live. I can't take it off.
This is our place where
Yes.
we talk about ideas.
yes.
It's
I'm not
a
filming you
place
now, I'm
for
filming you.
proselytizing. It's
No,
a
I'm-
place to talk of ideas.
Well, I have some fantastic ideas to share if you want.
Well, you no, because
I'm filming me.
I like Gurdjieff. I don't like this rubbish.
I'm filming me, not
I
you.
like Rudolf Steiner. I don't like this rubbish. He said now everyone is the living dead. You are walking in a dream on your phone. It's giving you cancer. It's making the birds fly the wrong way. It's killing the animals. They're putting G5 on the lampposts. It's-
5G.
Everybody's legs are hurting. Why? Everyone's coughing. Why? It's nothing to do with health. It's to do with energy.
Oh, do you know about the electromagnetic?
I know about physics.
So we're a Taurus.
That's why I don't use this rubbish.
All right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But do you know
should
anything
really
about?
try to love without a machine. It's like a woman with an electronic dildo. I don't think it's a good idea.
All right, darling. Well, thanks for your input. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a great Super Day. Hey, so I was just talking about some other interesting subjects here today. Does anyone know about Nikola Tesla? Have you heard of Nikola Tesla, anyone? When Einstein was asked about 80 years ago, what's it like to be the smartest man, he said, I don't know, ask Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla invented AC electricity and I think the wireless. How are you going? I want to share with you that there is something known as free energy in this world. I don't know if you've ever heard of the ether. Do you know anything about the ether? The ether is this energy field that we live in, and from that you can draw free energy. Tesla, a very smart scientist, taught us all about that. This is obviously not a subject I'm very well versed on, but here's another subject you might find interesting. Have you heard that there is no scientific experiment to show that the Earth is spinning or turning? I mean, a measurable test that we can run to say, okay, here we can see the evidence of the Earth rotating. It's meant to be rotating at about 1,000 miles an hour. Well, we know that we got film or footage of it seemingly turning, but we're not very satisfied with that as a measurable bit of science. Foucault pendulum. Yes, I've heard of it.
I've actually seen it, and it swings back and forward. It's very complicated, and to be honest, I didn't really understand it, but that is supposed to show that the Earth is spinning.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. I about 3 or 4 years ago would have said the same thing. I remember the Foucault pendulum myself. But once I've looked into it, it turns out that if you were to set up a pendulum on a spinning ball, the only way that it would work in the way that they sort of describe it in the university is to put it on the North Pole, or to put it on the center of the axis, because it would need to sort of be on a very central point. If you put it on the side of a spinning ball, it would careen all over the place. It wouldn't work. And if it was true that was an electromagnetic force being generated by the spinning and turning of the Earth, then cranes who left their balls hanging overnight, their heavy ball, that would start to pick up, if you left it over the weekend, it would start to pick up some sort of motion, if that were the case, that we were seeing that. And if there were measurable forces of any sort relating to the 1,000 miles an hour worth of spin, I think we would be able to detect them. Hey, it's Barry.
And the equator to the other side, if it was spinning, wouldn't the light difference as well?
We could do. I mean, the whole business of centripetal force comes into play.
And we don't
No. So, but I appreciate your honesty in saying that you don't fully understand it. It turns out the Foucault pendulum gets set in motion like once a day. You know, they actually have to set it in motion. It's not like the Earth is generating that thing, but it's on such a fine set of gimbals it can run. And I think, and I'm not absolutely sure, but I think what you see by turning and inscribing a sort of circle through the course of a day, I think that's because of the slow turning of the torus field, the electromagnetic torus field that we call the ether. And that's what I was talking about just now, is that science used to accept that there was a thing called ether, and that everything grew into that ether. But that ether was an inconvenient truth for Einstein, and he couldn't make general relativity work. No one could make gravity really stick until he got rid of the ether. You see, because the ether...
Magnetism.
Yeah, dynamic, because they measured it actually in the early 1920 period. They did a lot of interferometer experiments by a guy called Michelson and another guy, Morley and Gale.
But I'm sure I remember this, and the point was they couldn't measure it.
Yes.
So that was
Yes, well-
that kind of people believed in it,
Yeah.
and they did this experiment to work out how we were moving through the ether,
Yeah.
and they found out that we weren't, and that kind of exploded it.
Well, I've heard other people say that, but my best research says that what they found was a 2 or 3 mile an hour movement. Now that doesn't.
Just have to say, I mean, I remember you from the flat Earth thing. I mean, it's interesting what you say. It's interesting what you say.
Yeah.
It always seems to be all the scientists are wrong, and then how can be so
Okay.
wrong? There's not been a conspiracy.
Okay.
And then someone in the partner.
Can I offer you a suggestion? Let me handle this one, Barry, if you don't mind. Let me offer you this as a possible scenario. When you go to high school or when you go to senior school and university, the professor will set you a series of tests, and those tests will be to test your understanding of how light works in a gravitational field, how a thing bends or a thing works with this hypothesis. So the cleverest minds are the ones in this case that can retain that information and go and answer the question on the basis that this and is this. Now I'll offer you that the best theologians go off to their colleges and learn all about the Bible and come home and they'll teach their local village people all about that. But this theology and theory is all of the same kind of ilk. It's simply that whoever learned this stuff the best, and it's only stuff. I mean, the business of Christ dying or coming from the Virgin Mary and all that is stuff that if you want to believe it, fine. But the same is true with gravity, relativity, and so on. These are the big ifs. These are the big theories of science. And any scientist today, to get a job, he's going to have to answer the question assuming that gravity is a real thing.
The problem with that is in theology there's really no advance. There's the Bible and it never changes. In science it was purely rote learning and giving them back the answers you want.
Yeah.
Science will never advance, but actually scientists do the opposite. They have to advance. They think of problems, they think of experiments and test it, and they find out new stuff. So it's not really fair to say that being a scientist is simply a question of memorizing some received wisdom. You're actually testing theories.
Okay. So but testing a theory, let's make a quick distinction between something that you and I can measure and test for ourselves, such as the wind speed or the temperature or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Where that we can test, versus something that we have to assume. Some machine and some mathematics will be able to tell us how far the sun is, to tell us how far a distant galaxy might be, and all of those sorts of things are the sorts of theoretical science that I got carried away with in my 40s. I was more than happy to sell this to my children, that there's a billion galaxies, a trillion galaxies. As it got bigger and bigger, I just passed that number on to my children and said, this is how many stars there are, and so on. But this is all the theory that if this happened, and if a Big Bang occurred, and then in the nanosecond after the Big Bang, certain inflation and conflation occurred, and so on and so forth. If this happened, then this happened, and then that happened, then 4 billion years ago, a moon-like thing hits the rock, sets us spinning, and then goo turns into a monkey, and the monkey turns into me. Now there's a lot of supposition, but I could get an A at university for answering the question that yes, I can go I can travel to Mars by using this kind of mathematical formula, and I can see how humans come out of a petri dish by using this amount of time, space, and this amount of if this, then that. Do you get where I'm at with that? And that's where mainstream science is today, is that if you want to get the right answers, you have to answer what is peer-reviewed and accepted. But something like Airy's failure, which is often cited as one of those things that the mainstream did to try and show that whether it was the Earth or the stars that were moving, well, that science is buried, and it's called Airy's failure now, where George Airy, the astronomer royal, came up with this experiment where he had water in a telescope, and he was able to measure whether it was the light of the star that was moving or the base, i.e. the Earth, that was moving, and he worked out or established that it was the star that was moving. Now they call it Airy's failure, and no one talks about it.
You don't mention
That's peer review.
Rothbotham, the Bedford Lock.
Robotham's Bedford Lock experiment.
He worked out it wasn't the Earth, it was the star.
It was the star that was moving. That's Airy's failure. George Airy.
He was astronomer royal long, I think 1870s.
But now we often do this. Hey, we write off the ancients as though they didn't know anything. But the 2,000 years ago, there was a thing called an astrolabe, which predicted based on a flat Earth all the comets and all the major celestial events, but using a flat model. So no, I think that and they built better than me.
As science gets more complicated, you do have to take more things on trust. Like if you were like Galileo,
Trust. Good point.
Almost common
Yes.
sense.
The United
All the
Nations.
experiments he does, you can do yourself. You can build the ball. Nowadays, it's so complicated. But I don't think that's a good reason. That's just an inevitable thing, and that leaves space for a kind of over-hyper skepticism.
Yeah.
The United Nations use the flat Earth on the day.
Yeah, I beg your pardon.
The United Nations use the flat Earth. But
Well, yeah, but we don't know.
Look,
Yeah, I don't accept the flat Earth model as it's given today. I think that it's a control. But let me ask you this. When it comes to scaling a model up, well, I would offer you as my scale model. I would offer you. Okay, well, I'll just say I'm going to say goodbye to guys because I'll film a bit later. This has been fun. What's your name? Barry. Andy. I'll just say goodbye to these folks. Bye now. Catch you later.